Welcome back to Salt City Counseling, my friends. My name's Scott, if you're new here. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful state of Utah. Got a storm rolling in right now. I'm watching the rain. I am well. I hope you are well too. I know a lot of you aren't. This video, it's a loaded topic, and it's going to be really easy for me to just sort of go all over the map. So please bear with me. What I want to outline here is why therapy is hurting kids, how it can be better, what it needs to do to be better, and what resiliency type style counseling is, and why you should only take your kid to a therapist that is sort of aligned in this way. Because what I'm coming to grips with these days, conventional therapy and the way things have been going with therapy and therapists and counseling and kids and teenagers is actually harming them. So I gathered a lot of these ideas. I've been listening to the book Bad Therapy by Abigail Shrier, I believe. She has a lot of gripes and grievances towards the mental health industry. And as I listened to her, I realized that I have had a lot of my own gripes and a lot of my own grievances. And I can't dispute probably 90% of what she has to say, the problems that she has with kids going to therapy. Her main gripes, I'm gonna go over just a couple of them real quick because I don't like to focus or feed this whole thing, but I'm just gonna go over two or three of her main gripes. Number one is that therapists are reinforcing that kids are mentally disturbed, or that kids have mental illnesses when in fact they may not, and that therapists are putting too much focus into this. And and so what's happening is that kids are developing an identity around being mentally ill, basically. I feel like I see this with girls more than boys. It's almost like a contest. Who's more screwed up? Who's more disturbed? Who has the bigger problems? I feel like this is happening amongst peers and peer groups and friend groups. It's almost like the victim Olympics. Whoever has the most problems deserves the most attention. Basically climbs the ladder, and all the rest of you are now beholden to give me the support and the attention because I have the most problems. That's sort of what it seems like. The troubling part is that their identity is building on this notion that they have this mental illness. These are formative years in terms of identity, and kids need to figure out who they are as their brain is developing. And I'm really, really, really concerned that they're building their identities on notions or ideas that they are broken, that they are somehow flawed, defective, broken, mentally ill, mentally disturbed, and the like. And unfortunately, it's true. Therapists are reinforcing this. Therapists are labeling them. Therapists are spending all this time, well, because you have this problem, because you have ADHD, or because you have anxiety, or because you have depression, well, I guess you're just limited by those problems, aren't you? I guess that means you're incapable, because too many therapists are buying into this total BS, this total nonsense, that depression, anxiety, or trauma, or whatever the case may be, or ADHD, are just how you are, and that's just too damn bad, and shut up and take your meds. And I don't work that way. I refuse to work that way. I've seen so many people get so much better from their depression and their anxiety over the years. And it's been actually not that difficult for a lot of teenagers to see some improvements just by making a few simple changes and doing some things different. But therapists, unfortunately, all too often are hyper focused on the problem and feeding the problem. And these kids are growing up believing that their identity is that they are just this flawed, broken, mentally ill person. One of her other gripes, I kind of covered two in one there, but one of the other gripes is the external versus internal locus of control. The difference being that those who have an external locus of control, they have a tendency to see life and the events and fortune, or good fortune or bad fortune, completely outside of their control. Whereas the inner locus of control folks are able to see themselves as capable and able to adapt and overcome and have control over the course of their life. The external folks, they tend to be victims. They tend to struggle in their lives. They tend to be unsuccessful. They tend to just give up and just sort of roll over and exist. And unfortunately, therapists are absolutely reinforcing this external locus of control. There are too many therapists who buy into this nonsense that, things will go better for you when the world changes, if the world changes, when other people decide to get in line and comply with your expectations. And I've had clients do this where it's like, well, my therapy goals are for other people to change. And I'm like, you got the wrong therapist, because there's no way we're going to accomplish that. That's delusional. And unfortunately, a lot of therapists are feeding into this. She has a lot of other complaints. And I agree with her. Therapists in general were dead silent about the effects of COVID and how it would harm and affect kids and their social development. Honestly, I tried to say something. I had other therapists get angry with me back then. She talks about the TG issue, where boys want to be girls and girls want to be boys, and how therapists are acting on affirmative care that has no science behind it, which is true. That is accurate. There is no science behind it, and it's an anger, bully-based approach based on ideals and no science. I take issue with the therapy community in regards to the dead silence that they have around males and how they are often unaliving themselves. They take a trip down the sewer slide. Therapists are dead silent about this issue. They don't seem to care that young males are unaliving themselves. Therapists also continue to use EMDR. I think EMDR is harmful. I think EMDR re-traumatizes people, and they continue to elevate it. There's so many issues, so many gripes. So I'm going to shift gears here. The resiliency-based counseling. So for me, with kids, I have found myself talking to kids and basically trying to deprogram them. That's one way to put it, right? And tell them there's nothing wrong with you. You're going through normal growing pains. You're going through the normal turbulence and difficulties that accompany growing up and being a kid. It's normal. It's normal for you to have emotions. It's normal for you to not sit still in school. It's boring. You're not going to need most of that anyways. They just teach you a whole bunch of crap you're not going to use. And so kids don't need to be told there's something wrong with you, right? To me, ADHD, that means you don't fit in boxes. That means you don't fit in this neat little box of just sit there and do that for 7 hours a day or whatever it is. But resiliency-based counseling, okay? I sort of base this on 3 main things. So if you're going to take your kid to therapy, you want to look for this type of therapist, okay? That is like, ask them the questions, like, what is your approach to therapy? And this is what a therapist will hopefully tell you. Most of them will not. Resiliency-based counseling. I mean, it could say a lot of different things, but to me it looks like this. Kids need self-efficacy, self-determination, and self-esteem. Okay, self-efficacy is basically the ability to create the results or outcomes that you desire in life. To be self-effective, to be effective in your life on whatever it is you want to do. Self-determination, kind of self-explanatory, but it's just like it is what it sounds like. That you are determined, that you have some self-determination. You are determined to accomplish, to be who you want to be, and to do what you want to do. Self-esteem is basically how you feel about yourself, your self-evaluation. Kids with high self-esteem tend to be far less susceptible to peer pressure or to bullying, to being hard on themselves, to harming themselves, or thinking about things like going down the sewer slide. And so to me, this is how we need to be doing counseling and therapy with kids. Resiliency-based. There's nothing wrong with you, right? This is me in therapy. There's nothing wrong with you. Don't let anybody tell you there's anything wrong with you. You're right on time. You are where you're supposed to be in your growth and development. All these challenges that you're having are normal. That's what kids need to hear, and they're not hearing that. And so all of this being said, please truly be very, very, very picky about what therapist you take your kids to. Okay, so I'd love to hear your comments, love to hear your thoughts, love to hear your questions. Put them in the comment section below. If you have questions, I will do my best to get to them. I may not always see them. But anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe while you're here. Let me know what you think. And we'll see you next time.